Why are people talking about Peter Obi? Let me tell you, there's something missing in Peter Obi. If he realizes that, he will get 40% of Northern. If you have Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, and Atiku agreeing, they will defeat him. Have Amaechi and El-Rufai. If you have Amaechi and El-Rufai, Peter Obi must not contest. But if he's contesting, Tinubu has won.
Did you just hear that? A northern man, not Peter Obi supporter, not an obedient, a man from the north who understands how the north votes. He just said Tinubu will not get up to 20% of the northern vote in 2027. And before you dismiss that, remember back in 2023, Tinubu won largely because of the north. Kwankwaso and Atiku split the northern vote between them, and Tinubu walked through the gap. But now, Kwankwaso officially left NNPP yesterday and joined ADC. Atiku is already in ADC, Peter Obi is already in ADC, and this man says there's one specific ticket, one exact combination that will make it impossible for Tinubu to hold the north. But he also says something that will upset a lot of Obi supporters. Stay with me. But before we go further, I need to update you on where things stand right now, because this video was recorded yesterday and something significant happened just hours after. Yesterday, Monday, March 30th, Kwankwaso officially resigned from NNPP. I mean, the party he built, the party that was basically named after him. He left and he has joined ADC. Now, at the ADC event in Kano, Peter Obi was there, Atiku, Aregbesola, Tambuwa, a lot of people were there. But according to what people are saying, if the fan base of Kwankwaso follows him to ADC, that means the coalition gets a powerful northwest foothold it didn't have before. Now listen to what Comrade Isad said about all of this.
Do you think President Tinubu has a chance? And if you can just give us your thoughts on what is likely to happen in the north, or the way the north may vote in 2027.
Well, there are strategies to be adopted by the president that he will still bring surprises in the north. But as it is presently, he cannot get up to 20% of the votes in all the northern states, except maybe Kano. He could get up to 20%. Then Yobe and Borno, because of the presence of Kashim Shettima, that's if he goes along with Kashim Shettima, he will be able to get more than maybe 30-40% in those states. Aside that, in the north now, you see, the politics of the north is such that there are certain personalities that control the voters, and those personalities are not with him.
Really?
Yes. So it's not like other states where people can decide on their own. Like, okay, see what people did in the southeast during the last election. South, you see, youths came out, even though Labour Party was virtually unknown. They stood in Edo State. P2B won. But in the north, it's not like that. There are some persons that can talk to people, and then the whole thing will change. These people are not with him, and some of them have lost their honor because they used the same honor which they used during the 2023 election. They abused it, and now they are not being respected again. I mean, the Islamic scholars in the north, they control voters. As in, they can come and say, okay, on a Friday, during the say, go, we are going in this direction, and the majority will go. But as it is today, the few scholars who can talk to the people are kicking against this president. The one who is supporting President Tinubu seriously now is one of the leaders of the Izala group, Sheikh Yahya Jingir. That one is insane. Not my own words, as a madman now in the north. That this man is because he's over 70, he's close to 80, so they see him has been senile, and as such, they don't even take him serious again, because anytime, even if he comes, he want to lead prayer, he will say Tinubu, Muslim. That's how. So they don't see this man. Sometimes some people don't want to pray in his mosque again because of the way he's talking about Tinubu. So he no longer control, even among his own very senior members, they disagree with him completely. So now Tinubu has a serious problem.
All right, we learned that Tinubu is spending billions on projects, on appointments and settlements across the north right now. And some persons are asking, is that governance, or is he trying to buy back a people he had lost, or so to say abandoned before now?
Well, I move around the northern states and I live in the north. I don't know the people that are benefiting from this money that you're talking about, because the kind of poverty in the north cannot be found anywhere in the country. The kind of poverty that people cannot feed. And that's why I've always accused the traditional rulers and the Islamic scholars that you cannot keep quiet when the majority of the people are turning into beggars. Not only the youths now, the majority, you see healthy men coming to beg. They are moving from one place to another. So where is the money going to? It's just going to the hands of very few who are not helping the people. So that's why the Northerners are very angry with President Tinubu, because they also claim that fertilizer is very expensive. If they buy fertilizer, they cannot sell what they get from their farms because food is being imported into the country at a cheaper rate. So once they spend money on fertilizer, whatever they get is not even enough to recover the money they have spent on the fertilizer. So all of these things is working against the government. So I don't know where the billions are going. They share it among themselves. What is happening in the north is that those who are wealthy are becoming more wealthy, and those who are poor, who are the majority, like say 80%, are becoming poorer. 80%, the poverty rate in the north is up to that. Because people cannot, if you go to the hospital, you see, once you don't feed well, the chances of you falling sick is high. See, virtually all the hospitals are filled to capacity because many people in the north are not feeding well. So I don't know where the billions are going to. I think he needs people who are honest enough to be able to tell him the truth of what's happening.
As you can see, that's a serious claim because 20% basically saying Tinubu, the city president, will struggle to get 1 in 5 northern votes. Now, think about it, is that even realistic? Because let's look at the numbers honestly. In 2023, Tinubu got over 8.7 million votes. Atiku got 6.9 million, mostly from the north. Kwankwaso got 1.5 million, almost entirely from Kano and the northwest. Now, both Atiku and Kwankwaso are in the same party. If even half of their 2023 northern votes consolidates behind one candidate in ADC, that's actually a serious problem for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the region that helped him win. But here's the honest complication. The only thing that could undermine the ADC is Atiku's insistence on becoming its presidential candidate. You could imagine, this is how many years now? Because if Atiku insists on the ticket, Obi Southern support may not follow and the coalition collapses from the inside. Now listen to what Comrade Issa says the exact combination should be.
Right, looking at Amaechi, Peter Obi, Atiku, or any other new northern candidate joining the fray, who do you think realistically has a chance to defeat Tinubu?
As it is now, in 2027, it depends the combination that will defeat Tinubu. We have about 2 sets of combination. Anyone picked among these 2 combinations will defeat Tinubu. If you have Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, and Atiku agreeing, they will defeat Tinubu. That's Peter Obi as president, Kwankwaso as vice president. Of course, Atiku cannot even go to Tinubu, so definitely they will defeat Tinubu because there's nothing Tinubu will be able to offer to Atiku. So now, if you have, and if there's a strategy that Tinubu will use, he will still defeat them. But that strategy seems to be unknown to Tinubu himself because he's unaware. Because if he were to be aware, he would have even allowed them. There's no need for him to even be wasting his time or his people trying to cause confusion in ADC. Allow them. Or if you have an Atiku as president and P2B as vice president, and then a Kwankwaso to be in ADC, maybe project him to be Senate president. Because in the case of Kwankwaso, what that means is that he must contest election. He should go for Senate. If Kwankwaso is not contesting election, Atiku and Obi will not make headway. If he's not contesting any office, Atiku and Obi will have problem. And if he's contesting for president, Tinubu has won. If Kwankwaso is contesting for president, Atiku and Obi are contesting on the same ticket, Tinubu has won. But if Obi and Kwankwaso are contesting, Obi and Kwankwaso, Kwankwaso must be on the ballot, either as a candidate for the Senate or vice president. Because I know Kwankwaso very well. I have sat and discussed with Kwankwaso one-on-one more than 50 times. So I know him very well. If he's not on the ballot, forget it. They are not going anywhere. He should be a candidate either for Senate or for vice president. So that's when there will be trouble for Tinubu. So this combination, or if you have Amaechi and El-Rufai, if you have Amaechi and El-Rufai, P2B must not contest. You see, this thing is not that just pairing certain persons alone. If you have an Amaechi and El-Rufai, P2B must not contest. If he's not contesting, then they can also win. But if he's contesting, Tinubu has won. So that's why when people are saying that, because in the north they say no, Tinubu will be defeated before afternoon, I say no, this people don't understand politics. Defeating Tinubu requires a lot of effort. It's not as easy as the Nigerians think.
All right, there are whispers of mega opposition coalition being formed, and in Nigerian politics, the coalitions win elections, or they do exist just long enough to share positions and then collapse.
You see, the reason why this coalition cannot even be taken seriously is because the majority of them are very selfish. It is not the interest of the country. They don't mean well for the country. They are not even better than these people in government as at the moment. So they are for themselves. Okay, who are the people that are talking about coalition? These people have been in government for a very long period of time. They have amassed wealth that they don't need. These are the people that are talking about. Okay, why are people talking about P2B? Let me tell you, there's something missing in P2B. If he realizes that, he will get 40% of northern votes. 40% of northern votes without even having to bring any top politician from the north to be his vice president. What is he saying? P2B has something that northerners love and appreciate so much. His frugality. Northerners appreciate that. But there's something missing in Peter Obi. What is that? What is missing is that he has not been able to identify the right people and for the ordinary Northerners to know who he is. That is what Northerners respect. That is what they appreciate. And Peter Obi has it as if he's a Northerner, as if he was brought up in the North. You see, once you look at Northern politicians, even look at people like Dangote. Dangote can go to the house of ordinary person, he'll sit down as if he's a nobody. Peter Obi carries himself as if he's a nobody. Northerners like that, they appreciate that, but because the majority of Northerners, those the poor ones are illiterate. They don't know who is Peter Obi. It is the information that they are being fed. They are being misled by those who don't want the ordinary Northerners to really appreciate who Peter Obi is. If not, that's the kind of politician they want. It's not flamboyant, and that is what you see. Why do some majority of the youths, especially in Kano and some northern states, appreciate Kwankwaso? Because he's down. He moves with the ordinary people. Kwankwaso can go to the house of a very rich person, maybe to greet after, maybe to sympathize or to condole. They appreciate that. And when going, he sits within their midst. Peter Obi that I have been saying, that's how he carries himself. Simple. Once you are simple, oh, they love you. But Peter Obi has not been able to identify with the ordinary people because he doesn't know them. That's just what is lacking. They don't know who he is. Once the day they know who he is, he will realize that he will have his support base will be in the north. Not yes, the religion plays vital role. But what is most important is that let them know who you are. But they don't know who Peter Obi is, except only the educated ones. It's now a vice chancellor who has already talking about, no, what we need is Peter Obi and Kwankwaso. Since 2020, that was what he was telling me. Why? Because he's educated. And this is another that he's talking about that. As at that time, I met him at the residence of Kwankwaso. He was telling me that, how do we do to convince Kwankwaso to be vice president to Peter Obi? Because he understands the kind of person that Peter Obi is. That's what Peter Obi needs to work on, so that the ordinary Northerners will know. So they have sold this script to them that as if Peter Obi comes, he's going to bring back Biafra. So that's what these very corrupt politicians do in the north. So they block the ordinary masses so that they don't understand what they say. They'll not say, oh, now I heard some say something that made me to laugh. They said, are you going to support Peter Obi? Peter Obi that killed Sardauna. And I laughed. How old is Peter Obi? Was it Peter Obi that killed Sardauna? So things like that, but he doesn't know the kind of information that is lying there. So the person told me, I said, but you must be very foolish. I don't even understand how I called the university, gave you a certificate. How can you be this foolish and you have a degree? That Peter Obi killed Sardauna. How old was he during the war? Okay, let's even assume it was Peter Obi's father that killed Sardauna. You cannot accuse Peter Obi because his father even killed Sardauna. So you don't do that. You treat people the way they are. You don't just have. So these are the kind of things that Peter Obi needs to work on. They don't want, because they know that when you look at his lifestyle, his lifestyle is the lifestyle of the kind of a leader we need in the country now. Because Nigerian leaders are very extravagant. That extravagance has led us to where we are now. He is a frugal person. That is his lifestyle. And frugality is what is needed in governance today. So that makes Peter Obi to fit into Nigerian leadership. But you cannot get, no matter how good you are, if you are not voted, people will only continue to praise you on the road. There won't be any impact. So what do? You need to identify those things you need to work on.
So let me break down what he just said. He gave two possible winning combination. Combination 1, Peter Obi as president, Kwankwaso as vice president, Atiku support from behind. Now, his argument is very clear. Obi has southern support, Kwankwaso delivers the northwest, and Atiku's network covers the northeast and north central. Together, the math works. Combination 2, Amaechi is president, El-Rufai as vice president, both for this to work. But Peter Obi must not contest and Kwankwaso must still be on the same structure. Now here's what's the honest about both combination. One combination requires Peter Obi to accept the top of the ticket, which most of his supporters want, the obedience movement. But it also requires Kwankwaso to accept being vice president to a man he said in 2023 he was more experienced than him. Combination 2 requires Peter Obi with his millions of supporters to step aside completely. Now, does anyone genuinely believe Peter Obi will do that? Absolutely no. Now, if Kwankwaso had swallowed his massive pride just once and accepted a workable ticket, Obi as president, him as VP, then the opposition votes wouldn't have scattered like confetti in 2023. So the question for 2027 is whether either man has learned that lesson. I beg, if this breakdown is giving you analysis most Nigerian channels are not putting together clearly, don't forget to like this video and share it on your status, tweet it. Let's keep people informed. Now, before you go, I need to give you the full honest picture because there's something bigger happening here that the ticket debate is distracting from. The trial of Atiku, Obi and Kwankwaso collectively secured over 50 million votes back in 2023, but fell short individually. Now, allowing Tinubu to clinch victory in a tightly contested race. 15 million votes combined against Tinubu 8.7 million. On paper, they should have won easily because the opposition didn't lose in 2020 because they had fewer supporters. They lost because they couldn't agree on one more candidate. Now they are in the same party, but being in the same party doesn't automatically mean they will agree on a candidate. Because if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is known as a political strategist, would likely to move to weaken any emerging alliance, he has done it before and is still going to do it. Now, the question is not whether ADC can win on paper. The math already says they can. But the question is whether these men, with their egos, their ambitions, their separate bases, can stay united from now until January 2027. That's 9 months, because in Nigerian politics, that's actually a very long time. So yes, where I honestly learned after looking at both sides, there are 99 million registered voters in Nigeria currently. Most of them are not political strategists. Most of them are not watching Symfoni TV or RS News or Channels TV. Most of them are people going to markets where beans cost 3,000 naira, paying 1,300 naira for fuel, struggling to pay school fees, wondering if next month will be better than this month. Those people, the ones who are not on political Twitter, are the ones who will decide 2027. And all they want is simple. They want to feel less pain. They want to see their children have a future in Nigeria. So I want your honest take in the comments. After everything you just heard, which combination do you think actually beats Tinubu? And do you believe the ADC can stay united long enough to try? Thank you for staying connected. And if this gave you a clearer picture, make sure you like this video, subscribe, turn on the notifications so you never miss my next update, and don't forget to share this video. Let's keep everyone informed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.